No. Pete. No. What are you doing? I thought when Pete Carroll left Seattle, that was it. I thought his legacy would begin and end as far as the NFL goes with Seattle. I realized that he was in the NFL before, an East Coast team. Nobody really remembers that. They remember Pete Carroll as a USC coach and then the Seattle Seahawks coach. 2 Super Bowls, 1 victory, 1 very disappointing loss, which brings us to this conversation. Who did he lose to? Right? I'm getting ahead of myself. The point is, if you have not heard, which I'm sure you have, and if you can read the title of this video, you know Pete Carroll has been hired as the Las Vegas Raiders coach. Shocking to me, one, because of his age, a little bit. How old is Pete Carroll? Let's just look. And spoiler, we're going to talk about the NFL draft. He will be the oldest coach, in the NFL. 73 years old is 7 years older than Andy Reid, who is, I believe, the current oldest coach in the NFL. And Andy Reid's still kicking. He's still doing a fantastic job. I would argue that he is probably one of, if not the best coach in the NFL right now. But I get Pete Carroll's in great condition, great shape. I agree that his mind is one of the best for this position, for this game. I do think it's a little bit bizarre that he is taking over what has been a failure of a franchise for dare I say, my whole life. I remember the Raiders were in a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I believe it was the year that Janet Jackson did the whole Justin Timberlake. Was that the Super Bowl? That may have been the Super Bowl. After review, the ruling on the field has been reversed. Nipplegate occurred 2 years after the Raiders and the Buccaneers played in the Super Bowl. The Raiders haven't really been relevant. I remember Jamarcus Russell. The one thing that they said about Jamarcus Russell at a combine, believe it or not, this is crazy. I remember them talking about Jamarcus Russell in terms of draft stock, and they said this guy can throw a potato 75 yards from his knees. What? That's what you choose to say about a guy? It's impressive. I could probably throw a potato 45 yards from my knees, not 75. Maybe that was fake. Point is, Pete Carroll is going to the Raiders. And it shocks me, one, again, because of his age, and two, because of the irrelevancy of the Raiders. And it's a weird dynamic because the Raiders are an iconic franchise. The Raiders do have a large fan base. This isn't like the Cleveland Browns necessarily, but as far as performance over the years, it's giving Cleveland Browns. It shocks me that he's going to this bizarrely povertous franchise. It's been a poverty franchise that has a good name, a good fan base. I don't know. The Raiders are just a weird cognitive dissonance sort of situation. So he will be the next head coach, and he will be coaching under minority owner Tom Brady. Brady and Davis are both the co-owners of this team. I think these two will be a very respected duo. If there is a time to turn around the Raiders after getting rid of Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs, who were the only respectable pieces on this team outside of Max Crosby maybe, I think it's now. And I think it needs to be now. So if we look at the draft stock, the Raiders have the 6th pick, which is actually a shock considering how bad they are. Or how bad they've been. So if we scroll up, this is Mel Kiper's, people, you could put stock in what Mel Kiper says, or you can't, I don't think they're going to get a quarterback. And that's alarming, in my opinion. That's alarming for what this team needs, because this team has a slew of guys hanging out. They have Aiden O'Connell, they have Gardner Minshew, and they have Desmond Ridder. Imagine the 3 most bland quarterbacks. And I know Minshew has had success, varied success in the NFL, but he doesn't seem like he's going to be the guy, or they don't want him to be. Maybe Pete will come in and change the mind. Maybe he'll roll with the young guy, the guy with the most upside, which I believe is Desmond Ridder. We'll see what happens at the quarterback position. The point of the matter is they're not going to get Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders. Right now, Cam Ward is projected by Mel Kiper to go number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. Cleveland Browns are projected to get Travis Hunter, which for a long time we thought the New York Giants were going to, or even the Patriots were going to, I thought the Patriots were going to get one of these top 2 picks and were going to get Travis Hunter. I was on record. You can find it in one of my videos where I said Travis Hunter and Drake May are going to be an awesome duo. I spoke it into existence, I thought. And in fact, I actually just jinxed it. Cam Ward to the Titans. It's needed. I don't think Will Levis is anything worth calling home, writing home, or texting home about. Travis Hunter to the Browns, that makes sense. The Giants getting Shedeur Sanders, I think, will be great for them. I think Shedeur Sanders will be a solid, at worst, NFL quarterback, even out of his rookie season and beyond, especially with Malik Neighbors. That's going to be something they definitely want to get. Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, and then we have the Raiders, who have the 6th pick. And so they're projecting here's the deal. Statistically, the best wide receiver in college football this year. You can't say best wide receiver because people will then get in your comments and they'll say, well, the best wide receiver won the Heisman. The best wide receiver, statistically, was McMillan. We have seen the bottom line is quarterback matters. Getting the correct rims and tires on a car, aka the receivers, only goes so far as the car's motor, as the car's build, as the quarterback. Look no further than the Giants. This year, they get Malik Neighbors, who I would argue is better than McMillan or has more upside than McMillan. And what happens? The Giants cut their quarterback, Daniel Jones. So a wide receiver can't save your franchise. Look at the Raiders. They had Devontae Adams, and nothing was working. And I get it. Locker room culture, that sort of thing plays into it. But they have to make a decision at QB. And I would hope that having a minority owner in the former greatest of all time quarterback, Tom Brady, I hope that he understands, and I know he does understand, the emphasis on the quarterback position. If you do not have a quarterback, your team does not go. I think this is a great potential draft pick for them. On a defense, I don't think of course, everybody could upgrade. Their defense is fine. That wasn't the glaring weakness of this team. The glaring weakness is this ability to keep up in games and to score. I'm worried about the quarterback position. If they trust Ritter, if they trust Minshew, if they trust O'Connell, fine. But I don't think McMillan is going to come in and elevate the play of those vanilla, basic, watered-down QBs. So that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. So overall, Pete Carroll, great hire. I think it will be good for the next. It's a 3-year deal. Maybe he gets an extension. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he just changes around the narrative of the Raiders and gets them back into the win column. But that division is tough. I mean, think about the quarterbacks in that division. You have Mahomes, you have Herbert, and you have Bo Nix, who, if it wasn't for Jaden Daniels, would have won Rookie of the Year, outperformed Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick. So that's not going to be an easy road. This was a laughingstock of a division for a long time, in my opinion. A very weak division. Now we're seeing the pendulum swing. And so it's an interesting time for Pete Carroll to come in because now the competition is increasing. Look at the coaches. Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, what's his heckin' name? Shane? What? Why can't I think of the Saints guy? Sean Payton. What the heck? My brain's already in the offseason. Sean Payton. And now Pete Carroll. Like those are 4 Hall of Fame coaches. I hope we understand that. Those guys are all going to be talked about when best coaches or top coaches are talked about. Now, Sean Payton was on thin ice a little bit with coming there and Russell Wilson and that disaster, but he will be able to redeem himself with Bo Nix and that defense. So great hire by the Raiders, I think. That's my prediction. They need to figure out the quarterback position. We'll see what happens. It's going to be an uphill climb, and I don't know if Pete Carroll's going to walk in there and get some winning records above 500s in the next 3 years. If he does, I will be impressed, but would I call under 500 a failure? Probably not. Probably not. So good luck to him. I love you guys, and we'll see you soon.